Coming up on Tech News Today, Google Plus is now Zagat approved, or is it Zagat? Well, either way, they're all integrated now. Meeker gives her state of the internet. We find out things are mobile, but we have a little more reason why now. And Intel's got free Wi-Fi, but is it dangerous? Find out tonight at 10. Next on TNT.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust. This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Wednesday, May 30th, 2012. Tech News Today is brought to you by Pond5, the world's stock media marketplace. If you're a media maker who needs stock video clips, photos, illustrations, music tracks, or sound effects, check out Pond5 for instant downloads at the best prices anywhere. Check out Pond5 at pond5.com. And for 25% off this month, use code TWIT25. And by GoToMeeting with HD Faces by Citrix. It just takes a webcam and a click to turn your online meeting into high-definition video conferencing. Meet with colleagues anywhere in the world, even from an iPad. Sign up for your free 30-day trial today. Visit GoToMeeting.com, click on the Try It Free button, and use promo code TNT. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Sarah Lane.
I'm Iyaz Akhtar.
And I'm Jason Howell.
And joining us today from CNET. Good to have John Falcone back on the show. How's it going, John?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Nice whiteboard. Do you have secret plans up there?
I guess I should have checked what was written back there before I put it on camera.
Thankfully, Skype is not doing a good job rendering it, so your secrets are safe.
It's standard def enough. I think you're okay.
My friend, though, you look great. We've got a lot of things coming out of the All Things D conference today. Tim Cook was talking there, Mary Meeker, Mark Pincus from Zynga. But before we get into all of that, let's talk a little bit about Google Plus giving you Zagat for free.
Yeah, so Google Plus is, you can never fault them for not innovating on the product. There seems to be something that keeps coming out with Google Plus all the time. Today, the new story is Google Places pages have been entirely replaced by new Google Plus local pages. There's quite a few of them, actually, 80 million or so. So the deal with how things are changing is, first of all, if you're in Google Plus quite a bit, you're now going to see a new local tab where there wasn't one before. But you can find local pages other than being in Google Plus through a regular search on Google.com, through Google Maps, for example, in some Google mobile apps, or, of course, through a search on Google Plus. Now, you mentioned Zagat, or Zagat. I always forget which way to say this.
Zagat.
I don't know. That's the way I used to say it anyway. I know that's not right. Zagat reviews are interesting because there are a variety of reviews. If anybody who's familiar with Zagat, what they'll do is they'll say, hey, this place has great food, high score for food, but maybe the service isn't that great, or it's really loud, or if it's very pricey, or what?
Ugly, because they have a decor rating.
Yeah, it's really dirty in there. So you get ratings for all sorts of things, which is why people like Zagat. In fact, I've actually paid for the Zagat iPad app, and it comes in handy. That is now going to replace the Google star ratings that you've seen previously. The Google star ratings, if you remember, is a bit controversial because it's an aggregate of things like Yelp reviews, Urban Spoon, if we're talking about restaurants anyway, and a variety of other services that have their own reviews. So it was sort of you get 4 out of 5 based on many different services. It's going to be replaced by Zagat reviews in their entirety, which is a 30-point rating system, and includes user reviews as well that you can add to it as they go along. Now, Marissa Mayer told Search Engine Land, listen, this is better. Even if you think, well, they're just using their own property, isn't that making the playing field a little less even? If you think of something like Yelp has a one kind of review, 4 out of 5 stars. Well, all of those factors, like whether a restaurant's dirty, if the service is bad, if the food is good, or anything in between, that all ends up making, in her opinion, a lot of average reviews for things that might not really be average. It's just that that's what the culmination of star reviews end up being. So what do the local pages look like? Well, they're actually pretty cool. I mean, they're a lot closer to what I think Facebook pages have been doing for a while now, which is a one-stop shop for a company to have a lot of pictures, have social elements, be able to gather reviews from people that are in my circles on Google Plus, for example. there is a somewhat Foursquare-ish capability. You're allowed to sort and filter search results in your circles, in your Google Plus circles, and it'll now show places that were touched by friends.
Touched by a friend.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually just reviews and posts about particular places, not actually check-ins. But if I was a betting man, I would say that check-ins were coming down the line. Because why wouldn't they want to compete with Foursquare in this sort of arena?
All right, I'm liking it. The one thing it makes me think is Yelp complained they were among several sites that complained that Google was scraping their results and using them without their permission. So now Google is doing this instead.
Yes,
they're using a company they own, Zagat, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And will this bring out the people who say, aha, Google is preferentially using their own company's information over a search result?
I'm sure.
I can't win.
No. Well, but it's two different things. It's like Yelp can't really be angry about them using Yelp data anymore. I guess Yelp could say, well, it's not fair because our results are pushed further down a page on a Google search page, for example. But then again, Yelp is usually like the third result anyway. I can find it if I want to.
I think Yelp's going to have a hard time arguing that, oh, look, Google is preferring their own brand. It's not like Google bought some like 4th tier, like 100th tier kind of rating site. This is these people have been able to charge for their ratings for a very long time. They've had, I remember seeing so many tourists with that little guidebook in New York City all the time going, what's a good restaurant? What's a good restaurant? To the point where people have them up in the windows. It got rated at this particular, whatever score they have. So if they actually go out and buy these top brands, it's hard to argue sometimes that they're preferring their own because they're buying some of the best stuff out there.
John, what do you think? Do you like this? Does it affect your life in any way, or could you care less?
I think Google is dragging us kicking and screaming into Google Plus, across the board, whether you like it or not, basically. And it's just another example of that. It is an interesting dichotomy between scraping stuff off other people's site and then Google saying, hey, you know what? Fine. If that's a problem, you'll never see Yelp on Google again, basically. It's Google giveth and Google taketh away, basically.
Yeah, careful what you wish for. All right, let's move into some of these All Things D talks. Big names up on stage there. Last night, Tim Cook, Apple CEO, took the stage for a discussion. Steve Jobs used to do this regularly, and so this is Tim Cook's first take on the All Things D stage. Lots of quotes. Where do we want to start? Ping?
Yes, let's start with Ping.
He said, we tried Ping, and I think the customer voted and said this isn't something that I want to put a lot of energy into. Will we kill it? I don't know. I'll look at it.
It's absolutely impossible that he's just now going, maybe we should look at this. They've been thinking about it. I think that they're just...
Joanna Stern asked that question, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that.
So maybe he'll get back to her personally.
Yeah. Joanna, I have an answer for you.
I'll look at it for you, Joanna. No problem. I'll ping you.
I think it's probably Ping's days are numbered, or he was being really cagey on the subject of social and whether Apple can be a social company or not. And he did a lot of skirting a lot of questions, but that one in particular saying, hey, we don't necessarily need to own a social company, but we have to be social in some way. So, Ping was an experiment, I think, by, 99% of the people who tried it agree that it wasn't very successful.
I felt like
doesn't mean they can't spin it off into something else.
I felt like he was using it as an example of why Apple won't be getting into social networking, and they'll just use the other folks who are doing this. He said, Facebook is a great company. I have great appreciation for them. We have great respect, blah, blah, blah. Okay, smoke up the E. I think we can do more with them. Just stay tuned on this one. So it sounds like they're still trying to create a relationship with Facebook, which they almost had. Remember when Ping launched, there was that Facebook Connect integration that disappeared quickly. And we have Twitter integrated in a very elegant way in iOS.
I agree. I also felt like people jumped onto this like, ooh, Tim Cook is alluding that some Facebook integration is coming down the pipe. Maybe we'll see something in iOS 6. I think he's just saying, we have no problem with Facebook. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk to them and we'll get something going later on.
But everybody loves
very vague.
Everybody loves to parse quotes, especially with stay tuned. Oh, that must mean something's coming up because something's going to happen in a couple of weeks. I mean,
stay tuned means don't hold your breath. That's how I see it.
Well, that's like on television. They asked him about television. He didn't say anything. He said it's an area of interest. Everybody's parsing the crap out of that. Well, of course it's an area. He didn't say anything there.
No.
Really, what he said the most about, I thought that was significant, was about Steve Jobs. And they asked him, do you think about what Steve would do? That's kind of the catchphrase. And he told a very good story about how he went over to Steve Jobs' home to talk about becoming the CEO. They had discussions, and Tim said, he told me, I witnessed what happened at Disney when Walt passed away. He said that people would go to meetings and sit around and talk about what would Walt have done? How would he view this? And he looked at me. He's talking about Steve Jobs now to Tim Cook. He looked at me with those intense eyes that only he had, and he told me never do that. Never ask what he would do. Just do what's right. And so I'm doing that. Essentially saying we're just trying to run Apple the way we would, which I think is a good answer and the right answer.
Well, and he can't work under someone's shadow forever. And I think he even mentioned there was a point late last year, Steve Jobs had passed away. Some time had gone by and someone said to him, hey, you got to let it go. We got stuff to do. And that's true. I mean, he's the CEO of one of the world's hugest companies. And Steve Jobs wouldn't want Tim Cook to be second-guessing himself.
I think Apple would fail rather quickly.
Yeah.
If that were the case. He complained about patents, nothing really new there. Talked about manufacturing and said, look, parts of the iPhone and iPad are built in Austin, Texas. Glass is made in a plant in Kentucky, the Gorilla Glass. But tool and die is all in China. There's nobody with expert in tool and die here in the United States anymore, at least not that many. So that's why we assemble them in China. John, did you get a chance to look through any of this talk? Did anything stick out to you?
I mean, I followed along with many of the live blogs last night. It was very, as we'd expect from Apple, there was very little real information there. We'll see more of that in 2 weeks, I'm sure, at WWDC. I mean, I think you guys basically hit it. The personal reflections about Jobs were, to me, the most interesting coming from him. There was a hint that something might be coming about Facebook. And I feel like maybe the only other thing of real news value there was he gave actual sales numbers on the existing Apple TV box, right?
Yeah, I think
so
it's like 2.8 million sold the previous year, 2.7
Yeah, or 2.5 million last year and about 2.7 so far this year. So it's already doubling that pace. So that was, you don't always get sales numbers on a product like that. So that was kind of interesting, but not even super substantive on that either.
That just sounded like he's kind of sticking to the industry going, yeah, our hobby, the thing that's not really important to us, we're selling like 3 million a year. It's not the greatest thing we do, but it's pretty much killing everybody else.
I wish I had a hobby that did 3 million of anything a year. It actually sounds like a pain in the ass, to be honest. Let's move on to Mary Meeker. She's a partner at Kleiner Perkins Caulfield Buyers. They're always adding new names to that company. Spoke at All Things D Conference today and has started to develop a little bit of a following when she reports on internet trends. A lot of numbers, 2.3 billion web users by the end of 2011. That's 8% growth in China. As well as global penetration of 32%. I'm sorry, that's 8% growth overall. China leads the way with 513 million users.
Over twice as much as the U.S.
U.S. 245, exactly. 1.1 billion mobile 3G subscriptions, 37% growth penetration. 37% of the world uses 3G. That's up 18%. But mobile counts for 10% of all internet traffic. In 2009, that number was 1%. So mobile is exploding. And she spent a lot of time talking about monetization is lagging behind. Mobile only gets 75 cents CPM, that's cost per million, or cost per thousand, actually, versus $3.50 for the web. She said that'll change as the industry catches up. But that's where Kleiner Perkins, Caulfield Buyers, thinks that the good money is coming. It's coming in mobile. People are moving there. She did talk about Facebook, how it's lost 24% of its value since its IPO. And she's pointed out, Zynga, Groupon, they dropped 40%. Pandora's down 30%. That's the way of things. I think the market lost a lot of confidence when they had the glitches on day one, and that hurt the bump. But she's not terribly surprised by this. She also, I think, made pretty big news by revealing that Kleiner has done no deals. This is a venture capital company. They have not invested any money in the first quarter of this year, because they think the valuations in the private markets are too high. And she actually said that that's probably one of the problems with Facebook is that the secondary market, where people were trading a stock options before stock was issued, drove the price too high, so they had to issue it at a high price, and of course it crashed.
Well, I think a lot of her numbers for mobile are also they all play into each other. I mean, mobile is a high growth market, yet the money isn't there yet, and she's saying it'll get there. People are going to figure it out, but we're not quite sure that, Facebook can't figure out how to make a lot of money on their mobile app, and that's how a lot of people increasingly are accessing Facebook. Let's hold off until we see something that works.
And mobile growth, it seems like it's in line with just the way technology is going in general. I mean, smartphones are they're over 50% at this point. A lot of people have them. That's one of the reasons why the price is so low, because it wasn't that you could get the content as well as you could on a regular desktop browser. Now that these devices are getting, they're faster because they're faster networks and they're more powerful. And not everyone, a lot of people have these devices that are capable of showing rich ads, and you can do tracking on this like you couldn't do with like much older browsers that were just dumber. I mean, you were going to see these numbers shift.
John, what was your take? Did you follow Mary's talk?
I just followed some of the reporting about it today, but I can tell you this mobile monetization question it just seems to be becoming the bigger and bigger elephant in the room for everything involving internet media these days. I mean, it's a really big question here at CNET. It seems to be a big question at Facebook. And you got to think like, wow, if Facebook can't quite get the monetization conundrum solved, who can? And it's great that she says, "Oh, we'll figure it out," but it's becoming a more and more critical issue every day that these numbers keep climbing like this.
Well, I think the other message that she did say was, we always see a lag in this sort of situation. So even though things are pretty dire right now, the money will come. We will make the transition. Those CPMs will rise. People will figure out how to monetize mobile because enough people are going there, and that no one's stopping us, the people, from going and using mobile. So the question then, as you point out, is, can Facebook figure that out? Because frankly, I don't know that Facebook is in such a great position to figure out mobile. They may or may not be the best company.
Yeah, there's Michael Wolff, the media creator, has been writing about this a lot, and it's honestly, for us, some really scary stuff where he's just saying kind of like, it's done. Print had this high monetization, web has 10% of that, and mobile has 10% of that. So you're down to 1% of where you started from, basically.
Yeah, but there's a certain amount of money gets spent on advertising. Where's all that money go? That's the question I never see answered. And there may be a good answer to it. I just haven't seen it.
I guess it goes to full-page takeover ads that GM wanted to do on Facebook, maybe.
or the savings is passed along to you. I doubt that happens. All right, let's take a quick break and do some money making of our own. Thank our sponsor, Pond5.com. I know a lot of you are media creators. It seems like almost everybody's a media creator these days. And whether you do a blog or just a regular website, or you do videos, films, apps, any type of media, you always need a little stock media. You need some video clips, or you wish you had some sound effects or some royalty-free music. You always run into that, and you're either skating the line going, can I get away with this? Or you're using some really unfortunate stuff that you found for free. Don't do that. Go to pond5.com. They have millions of high-quality photos, vector illustrations, music tracks, sound effects. On the video version, we're watching an ape roll around in the grass right now. It's a movie of its own right there. At Pond 5, you can get an establishing video shot of Phoenix. You can get rain. You can get snipers. You can get sound effects of any kind. Sound effects, when you're doing radio, is always the big one that everybody has a hard time finding the right ones. This is a huge library of sound effects. And the best part is, once you buy it, at a pretty affordable price, to be honest. I've looked into this stuff a lot. This is a good price that you can get for this stuff. You are now able to use it in almost any kind of project that you have. So if you're a media maker working with video, images, or sound, go right now. Don't waste your time looking around elsewhere. Pond5.com. That's Pond, the number 5.com. And check it out. Pond 5 has a special offer for our audience members, 25% off your purchase this month when you use the code TWiT25. That's Pond5.com. Use that code TWiT25, and we thank Pond 5 for their support of Tech News Today. One more talk coming out of the All Things D conference. Mark Pincus, CEO of Zynga, on stage saying, hold on, Mary Meeker, quote, let's not be too quick to jump on mobile. People still spend massive amounts of time on the PC at work and on boring conference calls.
Well, he says that because people spend a lot more time buying things on Zynga products on desktops rather than mobile.
Yeah, I mean,
so he would hope that would stay that way.
You're likely to have a desktop browser when you're at work, and let's face it, a lot of people are goofing off. But at least the CEO is honest about it. He goes, "We know what people are doing. They're not really. We're not going to help the productivity of the world, but we'll make money because every day people are wasting time playing Farmville."
Also, he said something that has got a lot of folks wondering what he meant by this. Maybe they're overparsing it. He says, quote, "There's nothing stopping us from putting games in all kinds of places as we find opportunities. We're just seeing Android and iOS having the potential to be there." Speaking of alternative platforms, from Facebook for Zynga games. Right now, Zynga still makes over 90% of their income off of Facebook. They've launched their own platform. They're trying to move out. To me, this just sounds like the natural thing you'd say when you're kind of at the mercy of another company. You're like, no, we're diversifying and we're going to find lots of places. Sure. John, do you make anything else out of this?
I think that's right. All these companies hate being dependent on another one. I mean, I guess that's what theoretically is behind this idea of Facebook doing their own phone, because they don't want to be dependent on Android or Apple, but that sounds like a horrible idea to me. Zynga doesn't want to be dependent on Facebook, and Zynga also wants to say, hey, don't go to mobile so quickly because right now you're breaking our business model when you do that.
Sarah, were you going to say something?
No, I was just listening.
Okay.
I wonder if some of this was to deflect, by the way. If it says mobile's not, we're not really worried about mobiles because they bought OMG Pop and like, okay, Draw Something is mobile and it's not doing so hot now, but so we're going to try to deflect that too. Just like they're saying we're going to move away from Facebook. Okay, we don't want you to think that the moves we did were bad. So publicly we will say mobile's not doing so hot and we will be available on more platforms.
The thing is that mobile is doing hot. It's just that people are fickle.
Yeah.
Draw Something was huge for, a month, if that? It was a big deal. And people just don't want to do that every day for 5 years. So you got to figure out how to keep churning out these like very short-lived hits or change your business model. But the people are there.
99-cent apps. I mean, it's a hits model. Yeah. It's like buying singles.
Right. Yeah.
I can think of a handful. I can count on one hand the number of apps that I continue to use after a month. After I download them. I mean, and I'm not counting the phone app when I say that. I'm talking about
when you say that, do you think like Zynga-ish games? Or are you talking about apps in general?
I'm just talking about apps in general.
Yeah.
Foursquare, Vampires Live, Simple Note.
Mm-hmm. Flipboard?
No.
Twitter?
No. Twitter. Yeah.
Facebook?
No.
I mean, it's. I would say probably our most used 10 apps. There's a lot of overlap in general. A lot of people have some of the same utility apps, maybe a couple of games. But yeah, it's
Audible.
I would love to see that data, and I'm sure Apple has it, of frequency of apps used, last used when. It's probably pretty fascinating.
I would like to see that data for myself. That would be a cool thing if my phone, any phone, did that. It said, hey, you access this app the most often. Because when I'm cleaning out my phone, sometimes I'm like, I haven't used this app in a while. Do I ever use this app? I can't remember. That would help. Just like clean out any app that's below a certain threshold of use.
So kind of one of those like old Windows XP feature where it's like, we're going to clean up your desktop because you haven't used these apps in a while. Like a little cleanup thing. That'd be nice.
I think I was one of the only people who liked that feature.
I didn't use this. Why do I have this here?
I met one of the guys from Frog Design who created that feature, and he was like, no, everyone hates me. No one likes that. They're just bugging.
I think I had the recycle bin and that folder. That was it at some point.
All right, let's move on to Doom 3 BFG. Taken from the gun BFG that you get in Doom. And I believe we have Russ Pitts on the line from Polygon, also The Verge. Hey, Russ, how's it going? You're in the Austin airport, huh?
I am in the Austin airport on Silly Airport Wireless, so pardon the
You actually look pretty darn
quality.
good for Silly Airport Wireless. We wanted to bring you in. Thanks for taking the time, because you wrote up a great article on The Verge as part of the Polygon effort, where you went on a long ride with Tim Willits of id, talking about Doom 3 BFG, which, just to summarize for people, that is a package that's coming out with Doom, Doom 2, Doom 3, Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil, and a brand new Lost mission for Doom 3 with 7 new levels, a new boss, and 2 to 3 hours of content. But you were pushing him for details about Doom 4. Did you get anything out of him?
Yeah, they made some kind of spurious announcement about a Doom 4 in 2008, shortly after 3 was released. And you know how they are. They like to do that sort of thing. And in the interim, they've been acquired by ZeniMax Media, the parent company of Bethesda, the folks who made Skyrim. And since that was a couple of years ago, and since then their rhetoric has toned down a bit, and they've shot off the cuff a little bit less. So they haven't had much to say about Doom 4. Tim Willits calls it the worst kept secret in the game industry, but he says that without even confirming that what he's actually talking about. So what I do know is that they are working on a game. What I do know is that they're releasing a historical package of Doom assets and content, and that Doom 4 is something that they have at one point been working on.
Now, John, I know you play the video games, don't you?
Once in a while.
Are you excited about? Are you historically a Doom player? Are you excited about Doom 3 BFG?
You know, I have to confess, I don't think I ever really played Doom 3 for more than 15 minutes. Like the idea of it, never got around to it. My question would be on Doom 3, this new version, does it have the flashlight mod built in? Wasn't that the big issue with Doom 3? Was it was so dark that it was almost too dark for people to see what they were doing?
Yeah, Russ, you asked Willits about that, right?
Yeah, in the PC version of Doom 3, they had a lot of bells and whistles that when they ported it over to the consoles, the Xbox 360 didn't make the cut. One of those was the flashlight. In Doom 3 on the Xbox 360, you actually had to, drop your weapon to raise your flashlight, and it was kind of ridiculous. They fixed that. So, in fact, that's like the number one thing that they have been talking about that they fixed, because they want everyone to know, yes, there's a flashlight.
There you go, John.
All right, I'm in.
You're in.
Sold.
Excellent. Before we let you go, Russ, I wanted to ask you, I know Ross Miller wrote this piece up about John Carmack of id and his obsession with head-mounted displays. Apparently, though, Doom 3 BFG has support for 3D TVs and head-mounted displays?
That's right. That's another thing that they wanted to hack into Doom 3 for this offering. John has been... For the last 6 months or so, John has been really obsessing over 3D displays. He knows that there's some out there. He's tried them. He doesn't like them. This is a man who thinks in nanoseconds and microseconds, and if he can shave off, 10 or 20 nanoseconds here and there to make the 3D response time, the latency, diminish the latency, then he's going to do that. And that's exactly what he's been working on. So he actually hacked together a prototype of a full immersion 3D headset, and I've tried it. I gotta tell you, in general, I hate 3D. I think it hurts my eyes. I think it's kind of gimmicky. It's only slightly more interesting than actually a flat 2D display. And I played Doom 3 with a standard 3D monitor with glasses while I was at id. And then I put on John's prototype headset. And I gotta be honest with you, it blew my mind. It is the closest thing to Lawnmower Man style virtual reality that I have ever seen. It's simply it's the type of virtual reality that they've been bragging about since the 90s that was going to be coming down the technology pipeline. And I think whatever the secret is, I think John cracked it. So if they can make that into a commercial product, I'll be the first one in line.
It looks horrible from the outside. I'm glad it looks good on the inside.
It's got duct tape all over it. It's basically a ski mask with some technology grafted on and a flat panel, a flat display, a small flat display with two lenses inside it to split that display up. He hacked that together from a package that someone else had been working on. And then he's going to send his specs back and his technology back, and hopefully between the two of them they can create something commercial.
Excellent. Well, Russ, we'll let you go get some Salt Lick barbecue or some Thundercloud subs or something. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, man.
All right. Find Russ's work right now at theverge.com/gaming and look for Polygon coming soon from them. Let's finish off with Intel going to give you free Wi-Fi.
Yeah, Intel signed a deal with a company called DeviceScape, and it's going to bring no login access to millions of Wi-Fi hotspots. Now, Ultrabooks and tablets will come with DeviceScape software preloaded, and that works with Intel Smart Connect, which means theoretically if your laptop is on standby and you walk by one of these access points, you'll be able to update your email or your Twitter feeds or whatever without having to do anything to your laptop. So DeviceScape refers to itself as, quote, a curated virtual network, and it has about 100 million open Wi-Fi connections in the world. Out of all of those, it has 8 million Wi-Fi connections. So you can use one of the 8 million Wi-Fi spots from DeviceScape without having to do a whole lot. Now,
who do they work with now? I mean, is Vicescape something that I might be using already before this Intel partnership?
I think they have 50 partners. I'm now blanking on them right now.
Okay, sorry.
But I can explain how it works.
Okay.
Well, yeah, because Darren Kitchen saw that we were doing this story today, and he couldn't be on the show, but he pointed out, he's like, this sounds eminently hackable. So you had a conversation with him.
Yes, I talked to Darren about this because the idea is if your laptop is connecting to something automatically, you might wonder, okay, is this spoofable? That's the question. And so the way the explanation is on this right now is that Devicescape works by using a specially formatted DNS query, and that query is addressed by Dreamscape's servers, which come embedded with details of the Wi-Fi point. Now, what Darren was interested in was, what's interesting about this is that the Devicescape method is actually a hack. The only reasonable way for this to work, this is from his email, seeing that new networks are set up all the time, is for the Ultrabook to try to authenticate with Devicescape's servers for every Wi-Fi network it connects to. And there are plenty of tools out there right now that let you abuse DNS packets and set up special DNS servers that allow you to tunnel traffic. That's DNS tunneling. He says, so perhaps it's spoofable, and Half-Life is going to be all over this once this actually launches to see how it works.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of hackers will be all over this, messing with it. John, what do you think of this idea of having Wi-Fi that connects when your laptop is closed and in sleep mode?
Color me skeptical on two issues. One, the security thing that you guys just brought up. And two, no matter what they say, I think this could really be a battery life hit.
Yeah, even before you get to the hacker issues, is it actually going to work well enough for the hackers to use it? Or will it work only well enough for the hackers to use it and just fail on me? Is it going to suck down my battery? I mean, those are issues that I would have.
Well, assuming it's secure and it's safe, do you think this is going to help promote Intel Ultrabooks at all? Will that be a defining characteristic where you're like, hey, look, I actually get free Wi-Fi spots with this, or I have access where I normally wouldn't? Because one of the things about Ultrabooks is they're super portable, they're thin, they're light, but I mean, they don't usually come with connectivity built in like a 3G modem or an LTE modem. So is this the kind of thing that's going to make an Ultrabook stand out compared to everyone saying, it's a MacBook Air clone? What do you do differently? It's like, well, we've given you free Wi-Fi spots if you just walk around.
I think for people who are paying monthly fees to have a Wi-Fi access point of some kind would be interested in this. You'd have to... You have less flexibility, of course, because you're limited to wherever these Wi-Fi points are. But if it was comparable, sure, I'd love to get rid of another bill.
Yeah, in concept, absolutely. I'm with you. I'm with you and John. I want it in concept to work, but I'm skeptical as well. All right, let's move on to the news fuse. Microsoft's making things easier for OEMs to pre-install their newest little buddy, Skype. Microsoft's giving select manufacturers access to a pre-installation kit that makes it easier to turn Skype into crapware on Windows 7 machines. If you forgot, Microsoft picked up Skype last year and has since announced all kinds of plans to integrate Skype into Lync and the Xbox 360, and people have been wondering lately, when's that all going to happen?
Hey, you guys ever hear about this thing called the Internet? Kind of a big deal.
Vaguely.
People know it.
DARPANET? Is it like that?
It's actually more successful.
Okay.
Cisco says so successful, in fact, that by 2016, worldwide devices and connections will grow to approximately 19 billion, and the internet will grow to 4 times as large as it is right now. Cisco also says this whole Wi-Fi thing, it's a new fancy thing, is going to comprise of 51% of all traffic.
Aaron Sorkin gave an interview at the D10 conference, and some of the discussion was around the upcoming Steve Jobs movie Sorkin is working on. Sorkin didn't know who's going to play Jobs, so he's looking for, quote, a very good actor who is smart. A good call right there. He said his adaptation will not be about Jobs' full life, but probably about, quote, the point of friction that appeals to Sorkin.
He likes friction.
The way the social network wasn't really about Mark Zuckerberg. It was about this whole different story.
Yeah.
Friction.
How could you steal my idea?
Yeah. Do you want more evidence that Google's working with Asus on a Nexus tablet? No? You don't?
No,
well,
really.
Then stop listening. Fandroid reports that a 7-inch Nexus 7 was spotted in a benchmark, and it was powered by a Tegra 3 processor with Android 4.1. Jelly bean? Sure, benchmarks can be faked, but Google I/O is just around the corner. Maybe we'll find out then.
You know, I'm glad I didn't go to sleep just now because that was very interesting.
Jelly bean.
Forever frustrating those who don't have Fios, Verizon announced it would start offering internet connections as fast as 300 megabits per second down, 65 up. The slowest offering is 15.5. Pricing won't be announced until next month.
That almost made me cry this morning that I don't have Fios anymore. I missed that. The Wall Street Journal reports that Sony may have made a smart move. Now, before you write off this report as an Onion story, hear me out. the company had tinkered with the idea of making the next PlayStation a download-only console. Instead, the company is going to stick to optical media due to inconsistent internet speeds globally. The journal sources also say that the next PlayStation is expected next year, and the next Xbox will have an optical drive.
Simple TV, we've talked about them before, an over-the-air DVR introduced at CES 2012, is looking for $125,000 of funding using a Kickstarter campaign. If you have no recollection of such a device, Simple TV is the one that connects to an antenna and a USB drive and your network to push recorded and live content to any device you install their apps on. Kickstarter campaign gives a $25 discount to early adopters of Simple.tv and offers all kinds of bundles, including one with a Roku.
Did they run out of money or something? I mean, they were at CES already.
I guess they need a little push.
Yeah, I guess
Doesn't
so.
seem like that much, right?
No, exactly.
Maybe it's just a way of building in an audience.
Right.
I like that.
Goodwill type of thing. Hey,
Yeah.
you get a device early. HTC was pleased as punch, not to punch, because HTC is not a violent company, as far as I know, to proclaim that its One X and Evo 4G LTE are no longer being reviewed by U.S. Customs. Hooray! The HTC devices are in compliance with the ITC's ruling that a previous HTC product ran afoul of a certain fruit company's patents.
Del Monte.
Wink, wink, wink.
Del Monte.
I don't think Del Monte. No, it was
Dole.
It was the raisin company. The exact availability date of the One X and Evo 4G LTE have not been announced just yet.
The clock's ticking, so get in all those Apple rumors now before WWDC. Boy Genius Report says Apple is going to demo a brand new version of the Apple TV operating system at the event. The new OS would also be the one to be included in the mythical iTV. Apple apparently is also working on a control-out API that would allow other components to be controlled via the Apple TV. So it's kind of like what you can do with HDMI, but it'd be like a standard that
I like
Apple
the way
has.
iTV became a zombie.
iTV.
It's undead at this point.
Watch me.
I say no way do we see that at WWDC.
I agree
mean,
with you.
If that's what's special about the real Apple TV, why would they show it 12 months ahead of time?
We might see an current Apple TV operating system showed off at WWDC. That's as far as I think it goes.
I agree with you.
I agree.
I think we'll be lucky to get HBO Go for the current Apple TV.
Seriously.
I agree.
Shows. Randomizer. Now, John, I know this one's going to be of special interest to you because I don't know. Do you wear a grill ever? I don't know.
Pardon me, sir?
Well, if you did wear a grill, you would now be able to get ringtones for it thanks to Play a Grill, turning your jewelry into tongue-controlled MP3 player.
You're talking about the grills, the toothy grills,
you put it on
where
your
you
teeth,
say stuff, or you have like dollar signs and things like that.
On your teeth.
Yeah,
Right.
Okay.
Now
Love it
it's
already.
tongue-controlled to play music.
Yeah, it was created by an artist at the Parsons Schools. The new school for design, and it uses bone conduction to play the sounds. So when you're listening to this, after you've tongue controlled this, you can listen to it in your own head. But if you want other people to hear it, they can hear it coming out of your mouth. So if for some reason you wanted people to believe that you could sing like Adele, pop these in. Let's play it.
I can see this being a very niche market. But those 5 people are going to have a good time annoying the rest of us on the
It's
street.
pretty helpful for lip-syncing artists as they're dancing around the stage.
Yeah. With your grill. You know how hard it is with those things? It's just like you kind of...
John, what do you think
got
of
a
grills
big
now?
mouth of metal.
I think now I do have to get one. I mean, come on.
We all have to get one.
That's
It's
what it would look
it's
like.
a pact. All right, let's take a quick break and thank our other sponsor for today's show, GoToMeeting with HD Faces. Being able to attach a face to a name is important. We tell you about it all the time. It enhances our relationships. It's so much easier to do the show when we can see John sitting there talking and we can see Russ talking to us. But unfortunately, meeting all your clients and colleagues in person can be impossible. So we recommend GoToMeeting with HD Faces. Lets you meet face-to-face from anywhere in the world, even on the go. You can use it on an iPad. If you're in an airport like Russ was, do GoToMeeting with HD Faces. You get a brilliant picture, you get to see everyone, and you can collaborate in real time because this is GoToMeeting by Citrix. It's easy. It just takes a webcam and a click. You can see your attendees eye to eye while collaborating on documents in real time, and you'll feel instantly connected like you're in the room having the meeting. Plus, GoToMeeting can be used on an iPad, as we mentioned. It's just incredibly convenient. You can take it with you anywhere you go. If you're running around, renting a conference room, trying to find a corner in an airport, wherever you are, It's a click. It's a camera. That's all you need. And pretty much every device has that these days. So please go. Check it out. Go to Meeting free for 30 days. Yeah, that's right. I said free. Don't wait. Go to meeting.com. Visit it right now. GOTOMEETING.com. Click on the Try It Free button and use the promo code TNT. Be sure to use that promo code TNT to get the free 30-day trial. And we thank Citrix for their support of Tech News Today. Now the calendar.
Gigabyte's unveiling that X11, you know, the one that's supposed to be the lightest laptop ever tomorrow.
All right.
So we'll be sure to find out what people think, because we're not actually going to be in Taiwan. The Blackberry Playbook OS 2.1 beta is due at the end of May, says RIM Playbook product manager Michael Cluley. It is May 30th today, so
tomorrow.
I guess, yeah.
30 days has, tomorrow.
I guess we can suspect you were going to do that. The little, but I have to do that too every time. It's like the little limerick, whatever you want to call it. Android 4.0 is reaching 2 more LG Optimus smartphones, the Optimus LTE Tag and the Optimus VU on June 4th. And that's the calendar.
All right, folks, let's look at what's incoming.
Incoming message.
We're going to start off with an email about how a Facebook phone already exists, kind of, at least in one particular email's opinion. This is Tony in Napa, California. Sarah, you got this one?
Yeah. Hello, Tom and crew, says Tony. Listening to Leo on TWiT and the Tuesday TNT, I started thinking about how I use Facebook, particularly on mobile, and if I'd use a Facebook phone. The short answer is I already have a Facebook phone. It's the Samsung Focus Flash, which is a Windows phone. With the new phone, I finally got a live account so I can use all the functions on Windows Phone, like all of my Facebook friends are now my contacts as soon as I integrated my Facebook account. All the information is there, even if I didn't enter it. Pictures, email addresses, depending on how much they use Facebook, obviously. Facebook Messenger now just shows up like a text message. So Tony says, from my perspective, Windows Phone would make a great OS for a Facebook skin. I really do use Facebook a lot more since I've started using this Windows Phone. I wonder if this was on purpose and if both companies meant for this to happen.
That's an interesting thought. Facebook and Microsoft are best buddies. You know, Microsoft owns a stake of Facebook. They do seem to cooperate on a lot of things. Everyone's assuming a Facebook phone would be a modified Android, the way Amazon did with the Kindle Fire. Mm-hmm. What do we think? Could the Facebook phone be Windows Phone?
It definitely seems like it'd be an interesting idea because Windows Phone is really optimized, so you don't have to get the latest and greatest hardware to make this run. So they can probably do it on a pretty good profit margin. And there's a select amount of people out there that actually make these Windows phones, so they have expertise.
John, what do you think of this idea?
I just think it's interesting, but another ecosystem at this point just sounds like a bad idea. So if it's something that's sort of interchangeable, that sounds smarter than starting from scratch.
Yeah.
And a tweet from Cohen Jordan at Ace Detect at Sarah Lane. Hey guys, the current iPod Touch has the headphone jack on the bottom. Maybe that's what the leaks are. Would be cool.
Oh, so those cases we were talking about yesterday might not be iPhone cases.
And I knew that. That's why he didn't tweet me about this, because I have an iPod Touch.
You're the one who has the iPod Touch.
Yeah, well, yeah, they put it on the bottom. It makes more sense when you have the speaker there, because you just kind of want to hear the audio sometimes. You pop it right out. It makes sense in a pocket, but then again, it could be the iPod Touch or prototype of nothing.
But I mean, the iPod Touch and the iPhone, for most things besides the actual phone part, are essentially the same product. So if you say that it's convenient down below, then I can see other people feeling that way. You know what? I wasn't going to laugh, but
I did.
You made a face.
Sorry.
So sorry. Innuendo Wednesday.
There you go, folks. Put it in your best of list. And thanks, everybody, for watching or listening and submitting stories to technewstoday.reddit.com. That is our subreddit where you can let us know what stories you'd like to hear us talk about each and every day on the show. John Falcone, thank you so much for joining us. Let folks know what's going on over there at CNET and where they can find your work.
CNET, latest and greatest reviews and news of everything tech, cnet.com.
Excellent. Thank you again, John. Always good to have you on. And thank you, folks, for watching or listening. You can find us on the web at twit.tv/TNT.
That was weird.
It's not a rumor.
You can. The rumor is you can find us. That's our rumor mill segment noise, John, if you didn't know.
Sorry about that.
You can find us on the web at twit.tv/TNT. You can email us. Our email address is tnt@twit.tv. Or you can give us a call and leave us a voicemail. Our phone number is 260-TNT-SHOW. Very excited to have Lauren Good from All Things D on the show tomorrow. I bet she's been busy lately. We'll talk to her and you then.